We are back with another episode of The Gifted and Insane. Dig into this one. This one is called Fear. F.E.A.R. Let us know what you think at the end. And as always, enjoy. All right. Hey, everybody. What's up? This is Marzette, and I'm with my man, Jabri. Welcome back to The Gifted and Insane. You kind of caught us in the middle of a little something here. We were just mic checking the hell out of ourselves, just trying to make sure that we got a little bit of clarity and that Jabri's coming through. We record this in different areas, but we kind of just connect and try to make sure that everything sounds nice and clear. So when we're speaking to you, we can speak to you without any interruptions or any interference. So Jib is getting a little irritated here because he has to communicate in a way that he doesn't want to this time around, but he's sacrificing himself for the show. And I commend you on that, brother. I thank you, but we do want to hear you because we like to hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that we're coming through loud and clear. We just have to play the cards we're dealt and do the best we can with what we have to work with. It's going to be
Yeah.
a great show.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate your sacrifice, brother. So, just to bring y'all up to speed, the sacrifice comes when, his brother paid a pretty penny for his new Bluetooth speakers, but when we went to record, they had some kind of a little noise back there. So, we were opting for clarity, and by opting for clarity, I mean we had to 86 the Bluetooth earbuds. So, unfortunately, you gotta go old school and hold the phone up to your ear, which I can't stand, and I know you can't stand it, and I know many people out there listening cannot stand it either, and it sucks. So, but you're gonna risk a tumor for us, right, brother?
Yeah, it feels very brain tumory.
Yeah, it's a little tumory there.
Yeah,
Little,
that's a sacrifice I'm willing to take.
hey, you know what? I'll put a plaque up for you, brother. I'll remember you.
Appreciate it.
I'll take a
Please
picture with
do.
it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Got to do it for the people.
For the people. See, he's trying to bring you guys some good stuff here. So, we're gonna get into it, and this episode is fear, but it's spelled out F.E.A.R. as an acronym. Fear, and fear rules the roost for a lot of people, including yours truly. Well, it did until I started making my transition out of that. Just by doing it some self exploration, I understood how much fear had ruled my thought processes, my behaviors, my actions, all this stuff was rooted in that stuff. It just appeared in different ways. And fear as an acronym, the reason why we called it fear as an acronym, because fear is false evidence appearing real. At least that's what we've been taught lately. And it's true. And the way you combat that is challenge it with the truth. But if your truth is tainted by that fear, if your thoughts are manipulated by that fear, at that moment, that is your truth. And you won't dare challenge it. It's almost like it's a disease, right, brother?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. It's definitely a debilitating disease, and it can be either considered a disease or even an addiction as well.
That's true. I think that as or it kind of gets in your system like a virus or a drug that runs its course. And I say that because of how it alters you in a sense. Because a lot
Right.
of times, we were talking about actions and thoughts and what I'm basically saying is that your fear can act like a drug or a disease process or a virus, whatever you want to call it, and it has an effect on you that's adverse. You spend money, fear based spending. You make a decision on whether I'm going to go over there and talk to that girl, fear based on your appearance, how you talk, how you look, how you dress, fear based on a whole bunch of other different things. Oh, I'm not qualified to go get that job, so I'm not going to even try based on fear. False evidence appearing real. It could also be false emotions, false events. Because Jip, I remember you were talking about how one leg in the past, one leg in the future, and that scoped how person can or shaped how a person can function. So these things are false. Sometimes we tend to sensationalize things even after we've experienced them and they're gone. They're in the
Right.
past, and we sensationalize things that can happen, may happen, have a possibility of happen, but it didn't happen.
Hmm.
And we give it a whole lot of power. We give it a whole lot of weight. We give it meaning. And we're the only ones to blame for that. We're,
Yeah, and a lot of times we get comfortable. And the fear is, I think, the fear of the unknown is one of the biggest things that is keeping people in the same stagnant state that they're in, because there's a comfort zone in the known, and the fear of the unknown is where you actually are going to find your success and the things that you're going to need to do to challenge yourself. So it becomes addiction. It becomes an addiction to just you feel comfortable in that state of fear. So we just keep repeating back to it and living off of that instead of taking that leap into the unknown.
right. And then we get conditioned, basically, to, oh, hey, this is what I'm used to. It's like being in a relationship with a bad person. It's like, but I'm used to their bad shit. So I'm just gonna stay right here. This is
Right.
my comfort zone. And fear creates that known comfort with being screwed up. And we were talking about that in another one of our conversations, that's an addiction to the struggle, or an addiction to struggling.
Yes.
And all of that just weaves like a badass cocoon that just keeps you cemented in one place. We're put on this earth to be dynamic beings, and that's what we are. But we somehow, over the years, have gotten comfortable with being stagnant and with just being in a certain thing. Now, sometimes their situations kind of help them dictate this thing. Oh, I got a stable family, a stable home, a stable this, a stable that. That's cool to have a base of operations. That's one of the things we were talking about. Like, you need your fortress of solitude, your base of operations to work from, but that's to a place where you can work your magic from,
Hmm.
not to hunker down and shield yourself from the entire world. But people shield themselves from the entire world because of fear. But
Yeah, the only way you're going to be able to rise is if you face everything. And that goes back to one of the acronyms you came up with: face everything and rise.
there you
But
go.
the fear is what's keeping us and holding us back, you know. So I think that's a great acronym, and it's something that you can go back to every time you're feeling intimidated by a situation.
Yeah, true stuff. I came across that acronym. I just thought it was just freaking phenomenal. When I was on the Clubhouse app, and they had a room, I believe, based on that. So I won't steal credit. I don't know whose room it was, but I just saw it broken down, face everything and rise, and it did lead to an idea that we've had. We were going back and forth on about how fear can be, instead of false evidence appearing real, which people, I guess, poisoned with, I could say, the fear, the disease of fear that's kind of like infecting their minds and their behaviors and their actions and all this other stuff. We were coming up with the ones that were more positive. And I think
Hmm.
that if people shift the gears on that, little by little, they can start to eliminate that if they just change the acronym, like facing everything and rise, face everything and rise. Because fear have you turn away from things that you are more than capable of handling.
Yes,
Fear
indeed.
fear has you turning away, running and hiding, and all it does is fester. All it does is just pile up. So if you face everything and rise, it makes sense. We've come up with another acronym for that, is faith eliminates all regrets. That's fear broken down. Faith eliminates all regrets. Having a fear of the unknown makes you turn away. But faith is trusting the unknown and trusting that you're going to be okay. So it makes you turn around and do a 180 instead of turning your back on it. From fear to faith, Faith is, to me, trust in the unknown, knowing that you're going to be okay, not really knowing that's going to happen, how you're going to get there, but being okay with that and being strong in your belief.
Right. And I think also that is you another way of that's another way of saying like having your mind and your vision focused on that lighthouse where you're trying to go because you're understanding your purpose. And if you're understanding your purpose and you're not just drifting to and fro, you are not going to have as many regrets because whatever you went through was worth it to get where you're trying to go.
Of course, and but we have such a staunch and gigantic fear of failure and fear of the unknown to where it freezes us literally. Yeah, you're going to work every day, you doing whatever you need to do, you're doing your household chores and all this mundane stuff, but you're still frozen. You still stop,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're glued. You cemented yourself, this dynamic being, into one tiny little cubbyhole of comfort.
Hmm.
This little circle of comfort. And if faith eliminates all regrets, then hey, you make your mistakes and you move on and you learn from them. I was watching something just today, and it had George Clooney on there, and he was talking about how you learn more from your failures than you learn from success. He says success doesn't teach you anything, but your failures teach you. And it's true. We have
Right.
somehow eliminated the willingness to learn and the willingness to quote unquote fail or screw up and made everybody scared of it. And I think that coupled with that is this fear of ridicule, this fear of not appearing to be good enough. You don't even have to like be good enough. You want to, sometimes people want to appear to be good enough to whatever peers that they give power to over them, whose ever perception or the optics of the situation. And I get that. And I felt that way when I was a lot younger because I didn't want certain people to cast a certain gaze upon me. I didn't want them to think certain thoughts about me. I didn't want them to treat me a certain way because I didn't make this, whatever I was working on, work. I didn't want to be the guy to come back and say, hey, or hey, mom, I failed this, or hey, y'all, I didn't make the cut on this. That's hard to deal with.
On the flip side, how do you think the fear of success like plays a part in that dynamic?
I think it's a mixture of things. The fear of success comes from with people not feeling worthy of that success.
Mm,
I think that
right.
some people don't understand that they can shoulder the burden of whatever they feel they're going to face if they're that successful,
Right.
or and it's probably just, and that's a perception thing too. Because if you go into it like, okay, if I'm successful, it's going to be this, and this. Do you know this? Is that a fact? Challenge
Hmm.
it with the truth. And only way you're going to get the truth is if you experience it. And we talked about something earlier. You were talking about how when we're what we're doing now. You're talking about what we're doing now, and we have to go at this with what we got now. And it seems like we want to be, corrected. Oh, we got to have all this in place. We got to have all this equipment. We got to have this. We gotta have this and this and this and this. Or should we just do it and gradually accumulate what we need over time? Like
Hmm.
like the fear of looking like, oh well, we'll look like we're not, or we'll look like we're not really podcasters.
Yeah, that's another fear that can hold you back. The fear of worrying about what someone else is going to say or think about what you present.
Yeah, that peer fear, because
Peer fear. That's a good one.
you don't want your peers to think of you in a certain way. If I had that in healthcare, EMS, and fire, and all that stuff, and you get to these places where you meet some really smart people, and smart
Hmm.
people, whether they know it or not, some of them do. Sometimes they're intimidating, and you want to be just that smart, or you want to have that much experience, but you gotta wait for your own time, and faith comes with patience. You know, faith comes with patience, and I had lacked patience for a while because I want to get there. I want to get there. Okay, you got a guy that got a 25-year career, and you just coming on, you're not going to match that dude. The best thing you could do is learn from him. The best thing you could do is learn from him, because that peer fear will kick in and you start doing stuff that's stupid, or you doing shit out of your character, and you won't be honest with yourself, and that dishonesty will come from within and be pushed out, and it'd be like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? And that wrecks your perception of what you're doing, who you are, and what you bring to the situation. A lot of times fear will cloud your freaking mind, period. It'll cloud your mind. And what I always
Yeah,
say, you can be in the fog but be standing on the beach, but you'll never know it because you're in the fog. You could be on the freaking beach and it will cloud your mind. And the beach is wonderful. It's beautiful. I love the beach, by the way. But we've all been there. And so, hell, that's why I got you. Hell, you'll tell me from outside the fog looking in, like, hey, fool, you're on the beach. Just chill out.
right.
That fog will clear and then you're on the freaking beach.
Yeah, I think that the fear of success is one of the things that I just keep coming back to and circling around. And it may just be because it's on my heart right now, because it, we always speak about things that we're kind of wrestling with. And maybe where I'm at now too, because I'm in a much smaller town in a more comfortable environment than I was, in the ultra competitive, aggressive Los Angeles, but once you come to a lot of these smaller towns, you see that people are just content with a job. No one's trying to overachieve. I mean, I guess there is some value, or there's some a reward in that, but sometimes it can get to the point where I think people may underachieve just for uh, to have the satisfaction of not having the responsibility of, because with success there comes a different level of responsibility, and I think some people shy away from that, and
Yeah.
and that's another element of fear.
Yeah. I totally agree. Because it's still based on their perception, because they see a person who they deem successful in their minds. Maybe it's because of possessions, money, title, whatever, and they're like, I could never deal with that, I could never do this, I could never do that, and they're already counting themselves out before they get in that position or they get anywhere near that position. And that's something that I know I was stricken with when I was like when we were like teenagers and stuff like that. You would see certain things, certain positions, certain status or something, and you'd automatically deem it unattainable for you.
Right.
So that's having a mentality like that. That is a playground for fear.
Yeah, that's a deep rooted fear.
That man, and that's like almost that's taught and learned, and like,
Yeah, a subconscious fear almost.
mm-hmm. They say that water carves a groove through mountains. You know what I mean? And that's how that fear flows through your mind, flows through your whole freaking psyche, your whole being. I mean, to where your personality and the way you operate is based on that.
Yeah,
And it's crazy.
that's deep. That's deep. I mean, that almost scratching the surface of some Willie Lynch letter type crap, where
Exactly.
it could be some generational fear that you have embedded
There
that
you
you
go.
may need to unpack.
There you
You know,
go. I dude, that generational fear. Holy smokes.
wow.
And it's real. It's real. And
Yeah,
and I can't just say, black families are only experiencing that. There's a lot of generational fear that's passed on. And then when that generational fear meets like a culture clash, like if some people from a quote unquote any old country moves here, and their children gets acclimated to whatever's going on here, and I'm not saying that we're a fearless society. It's just like there are different things to be scared of. You know what I mean? So their children adapt to those things and leave some of those old fears behind. And the parents or grandparents from the old country is like, this is preposterous. They need to be scared of this stuff.
right. I
And
was scared when my mom called me on video chat the other day. I, I was not ready. She got a new phone. And that's like you said, the old world. Like I wasn't expecting her to even understand that technology, because a lot of I'm just kind of like piggybacking on what you were saying about people from the old world being
Yeah.
afraid of some of the newer technology and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Old world, old school. I mean, sometimes it goes hand in hand, brother. You know, it's
Right.
like, oh, what them kids out there doing, them newfangled gadgets. Oh, Lord,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, my brain, the way my brain functions, and I know that I have a different pattern of thoughts. I have it's like an endless trail of algorithms and shit. And it's wonderful, it's vivid. My imagination is like I can sit up here and sit in my chair and watch a movie because my imagination is so vivid. That gift is
Hmm.
also a curse, especially when fear-based thoughts enter in there. The stuff is so elaborate, brother. I can't even. I'm telling you, and that elaborate vision, that elaborate picture creates all these feelings, and these feelings leads to other thoughts and actions and feelings and stuff, and it's stuff that it's not real. And so that's why my day starts off with me challenging some of these things, like, okay, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, this isn't real. I spoke to her just a few minutes ago, so she's not over there. They're okay, they just texted me. So it's like a constant challenge, and then you have to set some concrete things to keep to break out of that stuff, because that stuff kills a lot of things, a lot of your productivity, a lot of your belief in yourself, a lot of things that are positive in you, that and your belief in your attributes and what you contribute. It kills all of it, and it brings about that fog. So
Hmm.
my challenge every day is like just to sit up here. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna knock all this stuff down. 'Cause I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna be fear free, because it's always something or somebody that we're gonna think about, care about, or wonder about. But it's like you have to, just like I'm gonna circle back to firefighters. You think they're not scared of that damn fire? Some of them are crazy like that and just barrel in there because they understand the environment that they're going in. Do they understand that they can be burned? They know they can be burned. They know that the fire can burn through a beam and bring the roof down on them, or fire can burn through stairs. And when they're hauling their butts up the stairs and they got hose and axes and haligans and all these tools and stuff like that, they know that they're heavier than they normally are. And a stairway can give way and they can fall in there. They know these things, but they do it anyway. It's like, I
Hmm.
call it fire faith. They know that these things can happen to them. They know that when they're working on a freeway, somebody can come barreling like a bat out of hell and crash through and damn near hit them or something like that. Same thing with we just lost two state troopers that pulled somebody over, and somebody barreled into them, and we lost both of them. You know what I mean? But they operate and they do their job anyway. They still have faith in the unknown. You got to have that kind of faith just doing regular stuff, going to get a job. These dudes going out on streets, going in fires, going up in crazy volatile situations. They're still nervous, but they do it anyway. So you got to be able to do this stuff anyway.
Well, that goes back to faith eliminating all regrets. When you're in touch and in tune with your purpose, and you're doing something, those gentlemen are doing things that they, truly believe in. May have been their dream job ever since they were a child. You know, and finding that purpose is that's that is the quest, and that is one of the main reasons why we're even doing this podcast, is just to create that space for ourselves to even be able to realize where we want to go. It takes discipline to carve a path for yourself and put yourself in a position to where you can even understand the dreams and the visions that you have for yourself, and then you can have that kind of faith. But people are just going to and fro, and like you said, you just going to work. People weren't just put here to pay bills and go to work, and then you save your money, you go on a vacation, and on the weekend you go have a couple of drinks and then rinse and repeat, and then you have 80-90% of the whole population living like robots and sheep, and you have not necessarily left what was you may have left a lot of stuff on the court. You might have left a lot of things, your whole purpose unfulfilled. You may have some untapped talents that you haven't unleashed and given to the world. And that's what we're really here to uncover, you know, or maybe hopefully help other people uncover it as well as we try to envision these things.
That's very true. And just like you were talking about this podcast, just doing this is stepping out in faith because we are faithful that it's going to lead us someplace different, and but in a positive way, in a positive direction. Because you imagine, what if we just didn't do this and we just had conversations?
Hmm.
Then there'll just be conversations between me and you, and it'll be in the graveyard like with a whole bunch of other ideas. There's a motivational coach that I know that's out there in Great Britain. His name is Pete Cohen, and he had a little segment, and he was standing in the middle of a graveyard. He was like, "This is where a lot of fantastic ideas are buried." As I watched Pete standing there, I was like, "This dude is telling the freaking truth."
Hmm.
Because how many people have great ideas that just took it to their graves? Who's benefiting from them? They didn't, and now the world's not because they took it to their graves, and maybe fear had played a role in that.
Right.
And we got to stop fear from being front row and center. But we're all locked in survival mode. And some parts of me think that it's kind of by design that we're
Hmm.
fearful and we're scared of each other now. We got all this shit going on with, people doing everything to each other, and we got idiots doing things to people, and it's hard for us to be neighborly to each other. It's hard for us to form our circles and our tribes, you know, fairly easily in some aspects. Because I know people have some friends from work, and some neighborhoods are still neighborhoods out there. Thank God, but it's starting. Some of these things are dominating, at least our visuals, our optics. We're always getting spoon fed that it's like really bad out there. That's fueling our fear, and then our wages aren't catching up with the cost of living in many of these places. And it's getting outrageous. So if you're in a check to check lifestyle, or if you're in a check minus, because if you could be just behind in everything and things are going up, groceries and all this other stuff, you have a fear of getting evicted. You have a fear of or losing your house, your mortgage or whatever. You have a fear of not feeding your kids. You have a fear of running out of gas somewhere. You have a fear. So all this stuff is cranked up to keep us like hyper agitated to where we can't reach that sweet spot in life that we want easily anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think there's ever going to be like this one um, utopic, for lack of better words. I mean, I'm agreeing with what you're saying as far as a sweet spot, but I do think that sometimes people think that there's this one they're chasing,
Oh,
they're
it's
chasing this
like it's a
this
destination.
yeah, this fantasy land, but you're missing out on the journey as you go along. And that's why I say that being young at heart is probably one of the things that a lot of people are lacking when you say that, because it's nothing like seeing the dream in someone's eyes die. You know, you see the young
Yeah.
people that they're the ones who are going to be creating the future because they're dreaming. They're still dreaming. They haven't given up yet and just said, "Hey, you know what? I got a decent job. I got a federal job. I got some benefits. Let me just let me
Yeah.
just chill. But we get to that point because, like you said, the world beats you down and it molds you into that. That when I talk about these sheeple, it's not. I'm not like downing anyone because the world it basically pushes you into submission. It really takes a strong-minded person or a creative person or someone who really has those kind of values to be able to break through. And a lot of times those people are considered strange or weird or, they don't fit in. But that's because to fit into a sick society, you're gonna be the one looking strange, you know. And go ahead. I'm pretty much done with that.
Oh, no, I mean, there are some newer norms established that you operate outside of. And I think that it's kind of designed for us to kind of fall into those things. And then those who just live their lives and don't agree to fall into those things, they're maybe labeled radicals. And really, they just want to carve their own path. And it's
Hmm.
not like they're on some weird stuff. They're not going to be cannibalizing everybody or nothing, no stuff like that. Meaning that they just kind of walk to the beat of their own drum. And there's no way that we could try to demonize a person that does that nowadays. But it was easier back in the day. I don't think that I think the rat race was the rat race back then, but it just evolved into some different kind of monster. And I think that when, especially back when both parents entered the workforce, and then the economy started growing, I think that that's when it really started to just churn and grind because they had to bring in the money because back I think even like with our dads there was still like two parents working was an option because their wage would cover everything, whether if it's rent or mortgage, car, groceries, bills, and all that. And they still had a little money, like they would budget and save for vacations and stuff. And then it started to change. And so everything that all the responsibilities started to grow and kids started being involved in more stuff and it just and everything started to cost money. You remember, volunteers used to put on flag football. Now flag football got leagues, and you got to pay for the leagues, and you got to pay for this. You got to pay for Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever team sports, with the kids alone, bands, and all this other stuff. So everything started to grow exponentially. It's like, okay, both parents have got to work, and maybe they got to work a couple jobs. So all of this is what I'm saying is it's leading us to not go into that care for ourselves that we need to help eliminate that fear because it takes work. Because like you hit the gym earlier, and you know what part you want to work on. You go in there and
Hmm.
you're like, I'm gonna do chest and I'm gonna do back. So
Right.
you focused on chest and you focused on back, but you had time for that. You pick and you choose what body part you want to work on at the gym. When you get home, nobody thinks about setting aside time for meditation, time for elimination. When your body gets sick with a virus, you let the virus run its course, but you treat the symptoms though. You take your cold meds and whatever you need, or if you're going to do some holistic stuff, whatever you want to do, you take your vitamins, you do whatever, and that's to take care of your body. Okay, cool, because it's sick. But when your brain is sick, because we're talking about fear being a disease. When your brain is sick, you also need to set aside time to eliminate that stuff from you. Whether you counsel with a friend, you counsel with a therapist, you meditate, you do whatever you got to do and challenge it. Challenge it with the truth. Sit
Well, I
back.
can say if you're lucky enough to make it to the second half of your life, I forgot where I read it, but someone said the second half of your life is you trying to recover from all the damage and things that you've done to yourself in the first half of your life. So when I say think like a have a childlike spirit, I mean going all the way back to newborn infant because we were all born perfectly who we are, and then just time piles on and people's expectations and projections pile on, and now you're just trying to polish yourself, you're trying to dust all this negative things off of our spirit, and that becomes the challenge, and that is a scary thing, talking about fear and freedom. Freedom elevates and rewards. That's another acronym. That was the last one that you sent me, and it's just going to continue. Once it's like a breadcrumb. Once you start walking down that path, you already know who you are. You're just going to keep hearing more. The voice just gets stronger. That little infant person that you actually know who you are, the closer you get to that voice and listen, the louder it's going to become. And it's like a muscle that you have to exercise. That's one of the reasons why meditation is important. And they call it a practice because it's something that you have to practice. And once you start understanding what that voice is and that spirit, you become able to listen to it, and it gets a lot stronger.
That's true. And the things that you deal with are hard, but when you get stronger, they're easy to deal with. And
Yeah, exactly.
I read
I
somewhere, and we were talking about working out. It's like I read somewhere, I forgot which person said this. Sorry for those people who want me to like directly quote everybody. It's just coming back to me right now. But they said that, when you work out and you lift weights, it's like the weights don't get lighter. Like if you lifting 50 pounds and you curling 50, the 50 is going to stay 50. It gets lighter to you because you're stronger.
Exactly.
You get stronger, but you have to work out with that 50, and you figure it out. And you figure out what exercise works for you that's going to give you the results. So you got to go and look for things that's going to give you the results you need to escape this fear. Because what you just say,
Right.
freedom elevates and rewards, that's freedom. That's a chain. It's like you don't have to chain the body when you chain the mind. If you got the mind, it's over with for the body, right? So
Absolutely.
if you free up your damn mind from these chains, then you will be better. You will be better.
Yeah.
But you have to actively find a way. I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day. It's time. It's better than
Hmm.
zero. And you work your way up, and then you'll find your way, and you'll get your way to that clarity. You'll find yourself standing on that beach, but you have to work for it, and you're worth it. We always say that you're worth it. Freedom
Yeah.
elevates and rewards. Think about that. And then I want to challenge you guys to come up with your own acronyms for fear. F.E.A.R. Find a way. We like to hear about them. Let us know what positive acronym you can come up with, or positive words you can come up with for the acronym F.E.A.R. for fear.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'll be fantastic. Hit us up, giftedandinsane at gmail.com. Or if some of y'all know us personally, just text it to us. Text it to us. I'm interested because I believe in you guys. You guys are creative. Y'all can come up with stuff.
Indeed.
But that's our take on it, man. And we're battling too. I know I am. It's a daily battle for me, but it's worth the fight. It's worth the fight for me, first off, worth the fight for my family because they're going to be rewarded with a better husband, father, brother, whatever. Be better for my friends, but it has to be better for me first. So challenge your fear, challenge it with the truth, and turn that fear into faith, and let's keep it moving.
Indeed. And it's just the human condition. We're all in the same boat. We all have the same fears. We all have a lot of the same challenges, and we just hope that we can articulate this human condition and a lot of the challenges that a lot of other people are going through that we also face, and maybe we could just put it in a way that can help, as it helps us clear up these things when we speak to each other. Hopefully, it can help other people as well, because everyone is the same in essence, but we all are like a different puzzle in this human family. And the more in tune with you who you are for yourself, and you know that you're playing your role, just the smoother everything is going to be for everybody.
Very true. And know that this battle is not going to come with some without outside influences, without outside challenges, because it's going to be some people that see you doing that 180 instead of turning your back in fear. When you face it with faith, you're going to be challenged, and that's okay. And it should be expected. But you stand tall and stand firm, and you'll be all right.
And
Get through this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and another thing about the chain comparison, I think is more of a resistance band than a chain. Because it's never going to break. It's like you're trying to get to the ocean, and you're coming from the let's say the desert, or you're coming from a different area, and you can get to that water and enjoy that water on the beach, but you have to build up the resistance to be able to pull that band down to that beach. Because I don't think there's ever a point in time when that chain is going to be completely broken and there's this big utopic experience. That could be when we die. Who knows? I don't know anybody who's come back to be able to, you
Yeah.
know,
I,
to let us know. But I've had almost 50 years in this life thing, and that's what my experience is showing me, that you just gotta find different practices and learn how to work out, and keep challenging yourself. A lot of times people say your best life is on the opposite side of some of your biggest fears.
That could be true. And I feel you on the whole thing about not treating it as if it's a destination because it's an experience. And
Right.
you can get to a destination and have experiences, but sometimes you gotta keep it moving. But it is the journey, and it is the journey, and it's not a destination, and because you're already at a destination, complacency land, and the
Mm-hmm.
rides suck, and the lines are
All
always
of it.
long.
Yep. It's hot as hell.
Yeah, and you bought tickets willingly to
Hmm.
complacency land.
Exactly.
Hell, we all been in that park here and
The
there.
end of the end of your comfort zone is the start of your life.
There you
Break
go.
that comfort zone.
There you go. Very profound. All right. I think that this was a good one. I believe that just like all the other things that we're going to be revisiting this. We get any emails about this, of course, we will probably explore those and read them on the next possible episode based on FEAR, fear. We appreciate you guys listening, and we hope you guys got something out of this. I'm going to go and do my own work on myself because it's never ending, it never stops. So, you guys stay up and be safe. This has been another episode of The Gifted and Insane, and we hope that you guys get something out of this for sure. For real, man. So, for Jabri, I am Marzette. Thank you guys for listening. You guys take care, and we'll talk to you soon. See you on the next episode.
Peace, blessings, and love, family.
That's right. Peace out. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Gifted and Insane featuring Marzette and Jabri. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Peace.